Hello, everybody. Welcome into the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Getting ready to rock and roll for some Tuesday night thunder over here at RMR Money Racing. Joining me in the booth tonight, been taking over the booth here for the last 2 weeks, actually. It's Dawson Wise. Good to be back with you, Dawson, and get ready for some good racing here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Been fun the last couple weeks as well. What a finish we had last week, by the way. But yeah, obviously glad to have you back. Glad we're back to do some more money racing. It's going to be a good one.
All right, and as the guys get ready to roll off on the starting grid, let's take a look at what we're going to get this race started with here tonight. It'll be Cody Nagels for NBG on the pole. He'll have Jason Maines to his outside in second. Matthew Baker, another one of the NBG drivers, he'll start behind his teammate in third. Cole Fitzpatrick to his outside in fourth. John Mullihan and Jared Mogard going to be making up row number 3. It'll be Danny Barnes in 7th with Jeff Merck to his outside in 8th. Christopher McCall will start in 9th, and John Ward for Hyper Motorsports rounding out your top 10.
Row 6 will be Garrett Maines in the 31 and Michael Triscaro, the boss man of PGR. Row 7 will be Matt Lee in 13th and Zach Range to his outside in 14th. David Sheets rolls from the inside of row number 8 with Logan York to his outside. Mike Davenport rolls from 17th with Hayden Kirk on the outside of row number 9 in 18th. And rounding out the top 20 tonight, Mark Vondell in the 59 and Brock Westmoreland in the 4.
Andrew Navarro will start 21st. Dylan Jones to his outside in 22nd. It's going to be Ken McCall Jr. in 23rd. Ron Morris Jr. 24th. And one of the fan favorites, Tony Cox, looks like didn't put down a qualifying effort, so he will start 25th, rounding out our field tonight. And a pretty good field, all things considered. Again, as you start to work your way into the middle and late portions of the season, the field tends to kind of narrow down a little bit. Mostly the guys that are still in contention for those top 16 spots to go fight for a championship. But nonetheless, with a good field here tonight, let's take a look at your race info here before we get to Tower Up. Weather outside is going to be 77 degrees, 40% humidity. Partly cloudy skies, winds at 2 miles an hour. It's going to be the Daytona 60. Looks like, as always, I somehow managed to forget one of the components when we switch over. And we are on the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 60 laps the distance here tonight. Everybody is going to have 100% fuel, unlimited tires, 1 fast repair. It will be fixed setups with that stage brake coming on lap 20. Track temp very cool at 77 degrees starting. And we know with these guys all having custom setups that they've been tweaking and stuff throughout the season. Again, everybody's on the same setup, but it is a little bit more of a custom setup that Matthew Baker kind of been in charge of getting better and better for these guys. And, man, it's made the racing phenomenal.
It really has. It's been outstanding racing. The last 2 weeks especially, it feels like we've really taken a jump. Last week was a heck of a race. It was just action all the time, all race long, all 60 laps. And so obviously these guys have their feet under them now. It's pretty clear to me. And so let's see if tonight they can back up last week and get right back to it and give us some great action.
And we talked about the teams, talking about points. We saw Daniel Eberhardt get the win here last week, puts him in front for points. And interestingly enough, looks like we don't see D3 out here tonight. So Daniel Eberhardt taking a break tonight is going to give a lot of these guys an opportunity to try to make it count. And I'm really keeping my eye on Matthew Baker. He's another one of the guys up there top 3 in points. We know how strong he is. And when you take out a couple of the other big hitters, you got to look to that 5 machine.
Absolutely. Pace car's down. We're going to go green right here as we hit the start-finish line. And Cody Nagels, Jason Maines going to bring us into the restart zone. Green flag is out. We're underway from Daytona.
As they work their way out of turn 2 for the first time down the Daytona Superstretch. It is going to be the 5 of Matthew Baker already poking a nose out in front. Cody Nagels made the jump up in front of Jason Maines. That'll put NBG 1-2 and controlling the front row early. Looking a little bit further back. Looked like John Ward in the 92 thought about making a move as well. He'll quickly duck back down in line. John Mullihan second on the bottom.
Cole Fitzpatrick, how about the efforts out of those guys in our qualifying session? Those guys are up here in the mix early on. The 3 up there on the outside behind Jason Maines, 0-0 on the bottom. Then you got Jeff Merck. He's going to try to get to his teammates here on the front row. Ward takes another trouble. Around goes Michael Triscaro further back. He slides to the apron, and a caution is out on lap 2.
First caution of the night as Michael Triscaro looks to be the only man involved. He comes to a sliding halt down on the short chute out of the tri-oval to turn number 1. And the 34 Chevy Camaro doesn't look to be damaged. One of our guys carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. Not the way he wanted to start this race, but he'll get it corrected, spun around, and stays in front of the pace car, so he'll be good to go. Keeps going. go back and take a look real quick. What goes wrong here for the 34? You noted trouble early, and ooh, maybe they were splitting 3 wide. Actually looks like Christopher McCall, maybe almost 4 wide here. These guys were getting after it. And here you go, taking a look from the spotter stand. Spotter stand, you see that's Garrett Maines in the 1 that's going to make a move all the way back off of turn number 4 is where this actually starts. And so here you go. Garrett Maines, he jumps up to the middle, and they're going to kind of hold, I want to say 3 wide, but it's a little bit of an awkward 3 wide here. And things start to condense. You see Michael Triscaro up top of the 1, and Triscaro just looks to me like maybe pinching him just a little bit there. Not sure if didn't realize these guys were 3 wide. As you see, looks like, I mean, it was not much. Like I said, Michael maybe just moving down just a little bit, makes a little bit of contact with the right front of Garrett Maines. That sends him down into Christopher McCall, and then ultimately hooks the 34, sends him for a slide. Chris does a nice job of checking up to get around it without pushing that 34 too far down. And Michael Triscaro, as we noted, was able to lock it up, and he'll continue on his merry way.
Yeah, one of those just 2 guys going for the same piece of real estate. Obviously, Garrett Maines made a move to the middle. It's one where, yeah, the gap is there. Michael Triscaro obviously kind of cut the nose off the 31, but if you're the 31, I mean, it's lap 2. I understand wanting to go forward, but that one to me felt like you could have rode in line, waited for a little bit better opportunity, but nonetheless, they come together, and the 34 goes for a spin. Luckily, everybody able to get away pretty much unscathed. Risk
versus reward. We see it a whole the time in super speedway racing, and it looks like early on not quite as much give as we're used to expecting, but it has put Cody Nagels out in front, leading the way at the World Center of Racing. Matthew Baker in second, Jason Maines third, John Mullahan in fourth, Cole Fitzpatrick. And I'll tell you what, I don't know why I'm struggling to pronounce these guys' names. We see him every night. Cole Fitzpatrick is going to be in the 5th spot here when we roll back to green. Jared Mogart in 6th. Jeff Merck 7th. John Ward 8th. Danny Barnes in 9th. Zach Range rounding out your top 10. Looks like your biggest mover, though, throughout the field right now is going to be Tony Cox. He is up 10 from where he started. Andrew Navarro. Some trouble there as 44 jumps down to the apron. He'll get it back going. But speaking of Tony Cox, looks like he's rocking a little bit of a different paint scheme. Still got the Pepsi colors on the 72 machine. And man, oh man, you got to feel like Tony, he's due for one this season. We've seen him in previous seasons. Dawson always has speed. Looking for a little bit of luck. I think tonight maybe could be his night.
Yeah, he's definitely due. It's a cold streak, certainly. We've seen a few guys on cold streaks. I think you could still argue the same about Jeff Merck as well. It's just you got to find the luck along with the skill to get good runs at these super speedways. And for Tony Cox, for Jeff Merck, for others in this field that have kind of had those cold streaks, obviously it has to come to an end eventually. Maybe tonight's the night.
I think you put Jeff Merck almost on the opposite end of the spectrum. We see him up front just about the whole race, every race, and as you noted, the bad luck has yet to miss him. It seems like every race he gets caught up in a wreck late in the going and ends up bringing his night to an end. But there you see Jared Mogard started the season off hot with the podium finish in the first race. He's showing a lot of confidence as he runs in 6th here tonight. But taking a quick look here, looks like coming around we should get the one to go signal at some of the guys carrying driver cams for us here tonight. Matthew Baker, Thursday broadcaster, he's rocking the onboard cam as you see him getting ready to go back green. He's got a couple teammates feeling pretty good in the field here in the early going. When we go back, we saw Michael Triscaro involved in that last wreck. Looks like it's put him back in 23rd. He is another one of our drivers carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. He'll have to work his way now from the back to the front. And then final man with an onboard camera for us here tonight, the guy we were just talking about, Tony Cox in the 72. He's got a pretty good looking setup. He's looking for a good run here tonight as we will restart with, looks like 6 laps complete. And again, we can't forget about that stage break on lap 20. I think that's part of maybe the reason we saw a guy like Garrett Maines going to the front. You know that there's extra points, and I believe there is actually $25 as well on the line for the stage winner. And we know these guys, Dawson, when it comes to super speedway money racing, anytime there's money or extra points in terms of gaining money at the end of the season on the line, everybody's going to go for it.
Well, absolutely, a sense of urgency for sure. And Garrett is one of the names that you probably first think of when you think of a sense of urgency trying to come through the field. Garrett Maines, I mean, would be pretty much the poster driver for that. So expect him to make moves here again on this restart. He's not going to be content running at the back of the field. We know that for sure. He's actually going to be starting way back there, right around Mike Davenport and Tony Cox. He's got some work to do once again, but I have no doubt Garrett Maines is going to find his way to the front, whether sooner or later.
Well, we put a poll out just before the race started on if we would stay green until the stage break. Looks like 3 out of 4 people said no, and that's a pretty good guess. Had a caution, of course, on the first lap. But when we get to that stage break, that's where we normally see fuel get a little close. But I think here at Daytona, of course, it being a little bit of a shorter track than Talladega, about 0.15 miles shorter, I think guys can make it just about 40 laps on fuel. But of course, we'd have to make it the distance to pretty much know anyway, and we're not going to have to worry about it in this first stage. It's just a full-on sprint. Further towards the back of the pack, looks like Ken McCall Jr. in 24th. Michael Triscaro just in front, and there's Brock Westmoreland. A little bit of uncharted territory for the Ford. We're used to seeing him at the front, but what do you think here? You think he's just playing it safe, Dawson?
I think so, yeah. Obviously not really a big sense of urgency for him yet. He's just kind of trying to keep the car safe, and that's a pretty smart strategy when you're already running back there as it is. So going to be the opposite of Garrett Maines right here, I think.
All right, here we go. Pace car going to make the hard left turn for the second time here tonight. NBG row 1, Cody Nagels, Matthew Baker back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 6 laps complete at Daytona.
Mollahan gave Baker a heck of a shot right there in the restart zone. I don't know how well it was caught up on a camera angle there, but my angle, holy cow. He got way up on the back of the 5 car, sent him flying forward. Now the problem is they lost their help, though. 3rd car now going to be John Ward, but they've surged enough that allows Cody Nagels to jump up in front of his teammate. Now Jason Maines leads the bottom, but that top, very connected, going to surge forward down the super stretch.
Yeah, you're right. It was a phenomenal push from the 2 machine right off the get-go. Was able to hold Baker even. Cody Nagels, though, jumping up, trying to control lanes early, and I think that's partially because he sees this 3rd lane already getting going. Matt Lee trying to make the top work. He was getting a little bit of help. Not sure how long it's going to work. Cooler track temp. We know that means it's harder to get the 3rd lane going. As old man Pig Wiggle on the bottom. Jared Mogard, that was a close call, but they're going to try it again. Here we go. 0-4 to the outside.
043 jumps up in front of him. Zach Range takes a shot at the 3rd line. He wants to get up there. Matt Lee says, I don't know about that. He drops back down. Nagels back to the bottom in front of Jason Maines. Allows Baker and Mollahan to lead the top. Andrew Navarro, it's tough sledding, but he's making it work up against the outside wall. So far to the outside of Matt Lee. Garrett Maines had gone with him, but now he drops back in line. Navarro now waits on some more help as Mogard. Yeah, this is probably a smart decision. He's going to go backwards a little bit. He is really struggling with the handling of that race car.
Yeah, I don't blame him either with the amount of chaos we're seeing up here right now. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a caution here in just a couple laps, but tell you what, Dawson, right now it kind of was looking like a case of the classic I want to lead the 3rd lane, not so much be the pusher, but you're seeing a couple of these really strong cars out here tonight, the 04, the 44, and the 1. They're getting lined up, and they are making that progress. They'll draw even as they cross the line to complete 8 laps.
Yeah, I think Matt Lee may get all the way to the lead right here, and that would be a huge benefit to his teammates that are running at the front. Let's see if he can get down. He will go all the way to the double yellow line. Big move by the 04, and all of a sudden, actually now he's going to jump right back up to the middle because he saw the middle start to fade. John Ward finds a spot in line. Navarro now will surge. Nagels and Lee lead the other 2 lines, but Andrew Navarro really making some hay up top. He's got help from Garrett Maines, John Ward, now Christopher McCullough, and Michael Triscaro's found his way back forward.
Well, you got 3 NBG teammates making up the middle and bottom line. Cody on the bottom, Matt and Matthew in the middle, Andrew Navarro up top. He's getting a good push from Garrett Maines, but that's going to be tough sledding if you want to get by the NBG teammates making up 2 of those 3 lanes. Christopher McCall 4th in line in that 3rd lane trying to make some headway as well. You see the 02 of Logan York behind Zach Range, 2 of the independent drivers in the field tonight. They are also trying to surge their way up through the pack. And how about the 3 of Cole Fitzpatrick? Haven't seen him out quite as much as some of these other guys. Doesn't really have a team, but he's having a good run as he is now just outside of the top 10 in 11th.
Yeah, look at how well the NBG guys are able to control the front of the field. Baker, Lee, and Nagels. The communication on point so far. They're able to just move back and forth and find who is freshest on temperatures, who is able to control these lines the best. Obviously, Baker, one of the best pushers in the game right now. He's able to push Lee clear. Now Lee drops down in front of his teammate. That leaves Navarro, Garrett Maines, John Ward, and now Brock Westmoreland up against the outside wall. They're maintaining, but here's the problem. The longer you go being up top, the more it's going to fade. The hotter that pusher is going to get, in this case Garrett Maines, and the more they'll start to fade. The most they did was been able to get Matt Lee clear, and they have now stalled. It's like a parking lot here at the front of the field.
Yeah, and I got bad news. Track temp, it's fixed here tonight. It's not going to change. It'll stay at 77. So that top line will continue to be the hardest lane to really get rolling. But, I mean, as always with what we see in the third lane, if you get it rolling, it rolls well, just as we're going to see right here. Andrew Navarro on the 44. Man, he slams the door. Baker just barely gave him a chance. He took full advantage of it. That'll put the 44 out in front. Matt Lee still on the bottom with Cody Nagels in tow. And here comes Garrett Maines up top out of turn number 4.
The instinct of Andrew Navarro to know exactly when he got clear and able to drop right down in front of the 5, and also the fact that he knew the 5 was probably going to cut him some slack. Lap 11, he's probably not going to force the issue right there. Now Garrett Maines may do the exact same thing. He gets close, but not quite. He's got a serious push from John Ward. So Garrett, we'll see if he can do the same thing. I'm really surprised the third lane's been able to make that much progress. I really thought a low track temp and the way this setup has driven the past 2 weeks, I just did not expect it to get very much headway, and they are really making some progress now.
Well, again, this is kind of that phase of where you got to experiment, right? If you see guys making that top work, then you're going to use it during that final stage. We're already halfway through stage number 1. Andrew Navarro still leading the middle. Garrett Maines looking for another surge of momentum. He's going to have John Ward lining up his back bumper as they work their way into the short chute through the tri-oval and make it 12 laps complete. Still 3x3. Man, you see it starting to tighten up, Dawson. The guys try to side draft the lane on their inside more and more. That's where we start to run into issues. But we're seeing a couple guys still hanging back, playing it safe. I would say after about Mike Davenport, Logan York, Jared Mogard, Danny Barnes, Michael Triscaro, Aiden Kirk, all these guys behind still just sitting back, kind of watching everybody go at it, taking notes for how they're going to get to the front later in this race.
I mean, do you blame them? I really don't, looking at how these guys race the front. Speaking of, Matthew Baker jumps out from behind the 44 Navarro. He wants to lead the top in front of Garrett Maines. Matt Lee up in the middle in front of Navarro. Oh, my goodness, he keeps it going straight. Matt Lee was pointed to the left, somehow keeps that car underneath him. Matthew Baker now actually is going to lead an all NBG front row. They lead all 3 lanes here at the line as Maines is the best pusher here up on the top, at least the best in terms of connection right now. The problem is just not really able to get the 5 clear. The 04 blocking that line from getting clear. That's exactly what Matt Lee was doing, and also is finally able to give Cody Nagels a break. Felt like he had been pushing for about 10 laps, so everybody able to get a little bit of a break on temps, and now we'll see who's the best pusher out of these first 3.
As we take a couple different ride on boards, was just taking a ride right there with John Mullihan. Now we'll go further out front here to Cody Nagels and Matt Lee leading 192 miles an hour as they dive down into turn 3. And you got to be really, really smooth on the wheel with these Xfinity cars. We know they like to dart around, but at the same time, you got to hold it low enough so that you can side draft the lane below. Only way to keep whatever progress you've really made all the way up to this point. Matthew Baker, though, up top leading the third lane. How about NBG flexing a ton of muscle as they line up 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, middle, and top. As they go into turn number 1, couple guys further back here. Looks like they're creeping even further back. They know it looks like a ticking time bomb right now, getting ready for potentially disaster in the next couple laps, but they stay 3x3 down the backstretch.
Oh, this is shades of the NBG of old, right? The NBG that we saw a couple of months back that was just winning everything, always up front. They had kind of lost that the last month or two. They've gotten it back now tonight so far with the first 14 laps. I mean, this is a serious flex of muscle. You said it right. These guys are on a different level right now, all in float state here at the front of the field. And coming to lap 15, they still lead all 3 lanes. How about this show of dominance early?
Yeah, it's almost like a gridlock right now at the front. Those front 3 cars in each lane are really the determining factor to how well that lane's going to move. And you see John Ward, he gets a push right at the right time, but it's just not really been enough to get this third lane moving. Garrett Maines, feel like he's been stuck as the pusher in that third lane for just about this whole run. And you know, if Matthew Baker doesn't get clear by a mile, he's probably not going to take it. And as you noted earlier in the broadcast, the longer that third lane runs, the hotter they're going to get. The more this bottom, I think, will start to roll eventually. Right now, they still stay 3x3. You look a couple rows back. How about the 06 of David Sheets now starting to make some progress? That's the second McCall Motorsports driver to now break into the top 10 here tonight. He's looking to see if he can get linked up with John Mullihan in the 2 car.
Nagels up in front of Lee. That allows Lee to become the pusher in the middle. He's going to have the freshest temperatures of any pusher here in the field right now as he was leading the line, although he's struggling a little bit with the handling, bouncing back and forth, trying to stay on the back bumper of the 6. So now the MVG cars, 2 in the middle, 1 on the top. That's actually going to allow Jason Maines to briefly poke the nose out front. He's got a nice healthy push on the bottom from Zach Range. The 043's found his way back to the front. That dude has been a magnet to the front of the field the last few weeks as Nagels drops back down across the bottom. But the 043 just seems to always find his way to the front when it matters most.
And the lanes are starting to break up here a little bit. That outside and middle started to fade. And Dawson, it's almost like a kind of a reverse effect. When you see one lane fade back, that's almost the prelude to they're getting ready to get a big run, just as we see right here on that third lane with Matthew Baker and Garrett Maines. It wasn't quite enough to get clear. But I'm telling you, when the lines are stalled out like they are right now, nobody really gets a run. It's when you start to see the breaks throughout the pack, as we now start to see on the bottom, as Zach Range, with no help behind from David Sheets, is fading off the bumper of Jason Maines. That'll make him fall further back from the bumper of Cody Nagels, and here comes the middle. They're going to get a huge run down to Daytona Super Stretch.
Yeah, this may allow Matt Lee to jump down in front of his teammate here. We'll see how well he can surge down the backstretch. Actually, the biggest surge going to go once again to the top side. Baker and Maines and John Ward doing excellent work up against the outside wall. Really, I'm so surprised they've been able to keep it going for this long. Now they start to fade in a big way. The middle actually has started to drop into the bottom. Look at Jeff Merck. He says, I'm just going to fill the gap. Come right up through the middle. He's going to get right up to the back of Andrew Navarro here and start to support the middle as it fades. That's going to allow Cody Nagels to once again clear for the lead. 3 laps to go in stage 1.
And 18 laps complete, starting to get down to the nitty-gritty of stage number 1. Matthew Baker is still leading the outside. He's got help from Garrett Maines and John Ward, but 3 cars. You got to wonder how long can it last. And now, we got one turned around. Jason Maines on the back straightaway was going down towards the inside wall. Not sure did he save it. He didn't. Big hit for the 1 car. It's not going to draw the caution. Question's going to be, can he get it back rolling? He can't. He'll have to tow it to the pits. We'll take a look back at it at the end of the stage. For now, we're going to keep it up front. Matthew Baker thought about going back to the top. He's going to stay in front of Andrew Navarro. Cody Nagels finds his way to the bottom with Matt Lee. Jeff Merck lined up as well. Make it 2 laps to go in stage 1.
Garrett Maines fell back. He lost his help. Now he gets it back. Andrew Navarro up in front of the 1 car. 00 Mogard with them. Now the middle has no help. Baker waiting on John Ward, but it's really not going to get there. Nagels up in front of Baker. They're really starting to scramble now. Less than 2 laps to go in stage 1. Navarro will surge big time down the backstretch. He's going to easily get clear of the middle lane. He will be your race leader going into 3 unless Matt Lee's got something to say about it. The 04 up in front. That allows Jeff Merck to lead the bottom. All kinds of scrambling into 3.
An aggressive but very veteran move right there from Matt Lee by him jumping up. He prevents the 44 from getting clear of his teammate, and that keeps NBG 1, 2, 3 at the front, 2 in the middle, 1 on the bottom. Actually, Matthew Baker third in line on the middle as well, but they're going to take the white flag in the stage, so it'll stay official as it stands. Merck now going to poke a nose out in front.
Where did Jeff Merck come from? He was about 10th, 3 laps ago. All of a sudden, now he leads the bottom. He's going to poke the nose of that 60 out front of the field here for the first time tonight. How about Jeff Merck? Zach Range, a very healthy push behind him. Third lane's fading. They've got work to do here off turn number 2. Can they get back to the rest of the field? Matt Lee, Cody Nagels, Matthew Baker obviously going to hope that doesn't happen. They're going to do everything they can. Off into 3. Appears to be a 2-horse race for the stage.
Saw a quick peek at some of the guys that tried some strategy, brung it to the pits a lap early, and now the race is on for who's going to win the stage up front. Final time out of turn 4. Range pushing Merck. Nagels pushing Lee. Here comes Navarro and Maines. One more run up top. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Drag race on the bottom 2 lanes. At the line, though, it's going to go to... Oh, man, it was too close for me to call. I think... I couldn't tell, Dawson.
Looked like Matt Lee to me. The clearest angle I had showed me Matt Lee, but it was not by much. Maybe a few inches at the line.
And we'll take a replay of it right here. This is coming through the tribal to the start-finish line. Matt Lee with a nose out in front. You see Range starting to fight back, pushing Merck. But, yeah, you're right. Matt Lee, he's going to get it there by, man, probably less than a couple thousandths of a second. Man, that was a close finish at the line. As we go back and take a look, this incident with Jason Maines off of turn 2 that ultimately cost this one machine fast repair. And watch, looks like Zach Range coming up behind him. And, might have been a checkup. It looked like the L1, something happened there, and then the checkup, the 43 gets into him, and that sends Jason down into the inside wall. And he immediately paid the tow bill. Let's take a ride on board with Jason here and see if we can listen to anything. As they come off a 2. Oh, something happens. I think he blows up, actually. Yeah, he does. Jason Maines off a 2. The engine expires. Listen. Kaboom, right there. You see him slow, and then just before he gets tagged, you hear the back end go kaboom. Big puff of smoke, and That'll do it for Jason Maines. He'll have to use a fast pair. Watch one more view at it here. Trying to show you one where you could see the plume of smoke if it showed it. I'm not sure if it did. Let's watch from the chopper. Watch a big slowdown. There it is. Let's off, and there goes the engine. Zach Range nowhere to go. Piles in. And so that would be why we saw Jason Togues. This is a pretty hard hit, but I think he still would have been able to drive back if he had the engine. And so nonetheless, we'll see how he cycles out from all of this. Is Matt Lee your stage winner? Lined up front. We'll see how pit stops all cycle through. Jeff Merck being scored second. Andrew Navarro third. Cody Nagels fourth. Zach Range in fifth. Looks like Garrett Maines in sixth. Matthew Baker seventh. John Mullihan in eighth. Jared Mogard ninth. And Cole Fitzpatrick currently rounding out your top 10. And here come the pit stops.
Yeah, we'll see what the pit cycle does here. Obviously, the NBG teammates going to be pretty close to the front. You'd imagine they would stay close to the front, try to work this one out. Pretty good start for Jeff Merck. You can't really say enough about the effort he's put on early in this race. He's going to be in a good spot for this second stage. And try to catch a break. Well, we talked about earlier, the brakes seem to just not be going his way. And so far tonight, he's put himself in position. Still a little ways to go, though, but he's got teammates at the front. He'll be in a good spot.
We cover a lot of money racing, Dawson, but I'll tell you what, Tuesday Night Thunder seems to be the one where every week we see the same strategy mix of guys that stay out for the stage points and guys that try to flip track position. And it looks like that's exactly what two of the McCall Motorsports drivers are going to do here. David Sheets, Christopher McCall, and then it looks like Mike Davenport and Michael Triscaro, two of the Team PGR drivers, also choosing to stay out. And they'll start up front for this final stage, which is going to be about 35 laps when we go back green. But before we get the lineup all set, let's go take a look here. One of the big announcements you might have noticed here tonight, one of the sponsors of the race was indeed McCall Motorsports Money Racing. And yep, turns out McCall Motorsports, one of the biggest teams in money racing, has now started to kind of host some money racing. And they are going to have a big event coming up on December 10th. Do not miss out. It'll be the American 500. $40 entry, and look at these payouts. Going to be, well, first of all, 188 laps, 100% payout all the way through 10th. And if you get 10th, you're going to be going home with, looks like, at least doubling your money. Yeah, sure enough, $86 to 9th and 10th, $430 to win. Make sure you go check it out. Also going to be broadcasted on LSR TV. Same broadcast that's been doing Jeff's Super Speedway Series that just started last week. And I'll tell you what, took a chance to go check those guys out. Absolutely phenomenal job. I believe one of the broadcasters for them actually covers the Contender Series. So if you're looking for a state-of-the-art broadcast, look no further. Go check out LSR TV. They do a heck of a job, and they'll do a heck of a job covering that one as well.
And if I may, I hope you don't mind, obviously I had not planned on doing this, but if I may, I would like to plug some of my own as well. On Sunday afternoon, I'll be covering a 500-mile race myself from Talladega Super Speedway over on the network I've been working with for my league stuff, the Turn 3 Racing Network. We're going to have the third annual Ryan Sadusky Gobble Gobble 500, and that's going to have a little mix of money racing, league racing, all kinds of different drivers in that one. But that will be live about 2:30 on Sunday afternoon. A little special start time, right in time to come back and watch Austin call our NSRA playoff opener. So come check me out over there as well, and I'll be calling that race, 188 laps at Talladega. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Certainly is. Double trouble on Sunday night. Turn 3 does a heck of a job. We see them cover OP as well. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in here tonight. Looks like we got 22 viewers at the moment. Hope you all are having a good Tuesday night. Good to be back in the booth after a couple of crazy weeks. And good to see Mike Davenport back up front. Zach Range as well. David Sheets. A lot of these guys still looking for their first win of the season. Davenport, man, he's been close quite a few times. Come bridesmaid, or he's kind of played bridesmaid a couple times, but still not quite been able to get the job done. Maybe tonight's the night. Him and Michael Triscaro, they're going to have the advantage of controlling lanes. Question's going to be how long and how well can they control them. And if you're Matt Lee, how much patience do you play here with Michael Triscaro?
I don't know if it's very much, and I'll tell you why. It's because Matt Lee has his two teammates lined up 2 and 3 rows behind him here. So we'll see how long the patience lasts for those guys. But with them all in the outside lane, they're all relatively close to each other. I would not expect it to be very long. You know how those guys are, and with how good they've looked tonight, that would not surprise me at all by the time we get to the backstretch if they are jumping out trying to make a move.
Indeed. So it's going to be exactly 36 laps to go when we get the green flag right here. And I believe, don't want to quote me on this, but I believe everybody should be good to go on fuel. Now, if we were to get a caution at any point, then I would change that to they're definitely good to go on fuel. We're getting ready to find out. starting to slowly wind down towards the end of the season, Dawson. And the top 16, there's a lot of guys that we see in the field that are kind of on that bubble in here tonight. Got to keep an eye on all of them. One of them going to be Mark Von Dell, trying to make something happen here late in the season. Green flag is back in the air.
Yeah, and a discombobulated restart right here. Mike Davenport got a heck of a jump, and actually may have jumped the field a little bit there. The field not quite ready to go when the 55 got on the loud pedal, and now it is all spread out all the way back through this field. That's going to allow Garrett Maines to get up to the outside. Now he rolls behind Matt Lee. Mollahan up as well, and all of a sudden all the energy is in the middle lane as guys try to make their way forward. Now Baker is going to make this a 4-car MBG party at the front. All of a sudden they're all in the top line. Watch out for those 4 cars. The first one to try the top, Jeff Merck and Andrew Navarro. Here they come, huge head of steam in 3.
Yeah, all that spread, what it does is creates a lot of energy potential on that top line, which we're seeing right now. Jeff Merck looking for the lead on lap 25 to the outside of his teammate. Andrew Navarro trying to push, keeping that train going far enough to get out in front. John Mollahan makes a dive to the bottom. That might be all Merck needs to get clear. But here comes the cavalry. Garrett Maines giving a big push to Matt Lee. John Mollahan made a great move. The problem is he didn't get any help in the process. That allows Garrett Maines and Matt Lee to get clear, and all of a sudden, the bottom is falling apart.
And the PGR cars had some kind of disconnection there on the early part of that restart. Not only that, but they did not get any help. They just could not buy a third car down there. And all of a sudden, now they are buried on the bottom. I'm not sure what the deal was right there. They just really didn't catch a break of anybody going down there and helping them out. After that restart, the saw them get so far ahead of the field. Now Merck and Lee lead the 2 lanes. John Ward has jumped out of line. He wants to lead the bottom. We'll see how that pans out for him as Matt Lee surges to the middle. He's got great help behind him in Garrett Maines. And now Cole Fitzpatrick. Where did he come from? He's up here now as well.
Well, I think somebody needs to tell these guys we still have over 30 laps of racing at a 2.5-mile oval, because right now it looks like we're at 2 laps to go. Cole Fitzpatrick trying to do a little push on Garrett Maines. I think that got Garrett a little loose, out of shape. He has to bail out of it. Now that allows the bottom to surge. John Ward was the man willing to make a move. He jumped to the bottom, got the push, played patience, and now he finds himself up front, controlling the middle. We know how strong John Ward is in the trucks, but he's got just as much talent here in the Xfinity cars, and he's showing it right now. No hyper teammates up there to help him, but he does have an ex-teammate of John Mollahan on the bottom, and Jeff Merck on his top as they rocket out of turn 4. That third lane still holding strong, but now we're starting to see a little fishtailing right there, the 34 and the 3. Maybe get a Michael Triscaro trying to hold on. Man, he got really loose on the apron of the tri-oval.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times tonight. It's taking guys a few seconds to get it under control when they get loose. As we see John Ward drop to the bottom. Middle line not really connected. They're trying to get connected. The surge may be to the top here with Jeff Merck. He may be able to get down in front of his teammate Matt Lee. We will see. And Merck, another one of those guys that is so comfortable in the Xfinity car. If you see him, he's on a different level when he's in these cars. You can tell by the way he races. I don't know if it's comfort level or what, but by his effort tonight, he's definitely proven it. Not able to get in front of his teammate there. Navarro is trying everything he can up top. But the bottom and middle now surge back to him. 3 wide for the lead, headed for the start-finish line.
As we ride on board here again with Michael Triscaro, you see just how hard it is for him to actually see. So he's got to leave a little bit of gap. And, Dawson, as a driver, it's always hard for us to kind of balance out how close do you want to get. You got to be able to see, because you don't want to slam that apron, wash up, cause a wreck. So you're putting a lot of trust in the car in front of you that you're following. Michael Triscaro doing exactly that right now, and it's got him still hanging inside the top 10. But, man, these cars looking really, really dicey as they are darting all over the place down the Daytona Superstretch.
Oh, you hit the nail right on the head. You don't want to get too close unless you trust that the guy in front of you is going to hold a pretty wheel, hold a straight line, and you're not going to clip the apron. But that's kind of what happens. You almost get tunnel vision. We see it in the trucks often when guys will follow the guy in front of them down. That just tends to be what happens when you're riding behind somebody. You just focus on their back bumper and hope that they're not going to clip the apron. They're going to hold it straight and not really drift. But that's kind of what you're seeing with Michael Triscaro. He's able to back off a little more and drive his own line, now being the 4th car in line rather than being the 2nd car in line, who really has all the pressure to just hope the leader holds it generally straight so you're not clipping the apron.
I'll tell you what, it sure did not take Matthew Baker too long to get back towards the front of the field. There's the 5 machine on the left side of your screen. And, we got some checking up. Oh, big wreck. Matthew Baker's in it. The 60 almost upside down. Mayhem as, Jeff Merck, huge hit. We got debris everywhere. Holy moly, what a wreck for Jeff Merck. I don't think I have seen a car that destroyed. And he'll get the 60 back rolling, but it's more of a limp than it is a roll back to the pits. We saw one dart out of line, and then, man, that was a brutal one. That took out just about everybody in the field, it looks like. Back and take a look here. Start first from the chopper view. And you see here up front, man, the bad luck will continue. Here you go. Two NBG teammates. They're going to go side by side. You see Ward just slightly offsetting Merck. That sends him up just slightly. But at the end of the day, looks like there's actually a little net code. That's what turns around Jeff Merck. Turns him right into the outside wall. And then you see everybody else just nowhere to go. They're all going to pile in. And I mean, when I say they're all going to pile in, I'm not kidding, Dawson. I only saw probably about 4 or 5 of these guys actually make it through unscathed.
Yeah, Mark Vondell, actually, I found it pretty funny when I went back and watched it myself. Mark Vondell basically just parked a car in the middle of the backstretch. It was all happening in front of him, and he said, all right, well, I'm just going to put this thing in park, wait for these guys to clean out the racetrack, and I'll put it back in gear and get rolling. He stopped right in front of Jeff Merck. But, yeah, not many cars, I think, that are not involved in this.
And you saw right there, Tony Cox at the end, nowhere to go as Merck came back down off the wall. Tony was just getting ready to get by it. You see Matt Lee get pinned up, and then a bunch of these guys going to slide through the grass towards the inside wall. Ken McCall Jr., I think he was okay. I think he was able to get through this one. And as you noted, let's take a ride on board here, actually, with Mark Vondell. He had a pretty good view of this crazy one. You said he parked. It looks like he still got just a little bit of damage. Let's see where the 59 stands on this one. He sees it. He's trying to check up. Sees his teammate David Sheets. And committed to the lane. He's trying to check up without locking up, make some contact, and then there you go. He's just going to park it, wait for Jeff Merck to get back rolling, and then he'll do more of the same. Let's take 2 more looks at it here. First from the wall cam. And all the pieces off of Jeff Merck's car. I'm telling you, they keep making these damage models better and better, and I don't think we've seen that much debris scattered on a track since we've been broadcasting for TNT, but here's one from what the spotter view looked like. And again, Jeff Merck, we keep talking about Dawson, but that was just another case of really bad luck. Wasn't doing anything wrong. Neither was Matt Lee. Just slight right rear net code, which we see every once in a while in these cars, and that caught him in a big way, and that's going to make him have to use a fast repair.
Yeah, it's the danger of racing this close together is that right rear net code. It's been such an issue since the update about a month and a half ago now, and you can side draft, and we've seen guys do it, but you have to be careful when you get around the right rear quarter panel, and right there, it takes another victim. Well, a lot of them, actually, indirectly. It takes almost the entire field because of just, one little net code, one little, maybe just a lapse where you don't realize you're on the guy's right rear, and then all of a sudden it's too late and you're already wrecking, and that's exactly what happened in that. Man, that is a massive pileup of parking lot on the backstretch.
Yeah, tell you what, when you're running 190 miles an hour that close together, it certainly doesn't take much to trigger a big one, as we saw right there. But this is going to shuffle up the field a little bit, put a couple fresh faces towards the front. The biggest one being Aiden Kirk, who is now up 17 positions from where he started. And with less than 30 laps to go in this race, he's got to be thinking big picture, looking for a top 3, maybe his first win in the Tuesday Night Thunder, but still a lot of things that can change, a lot of things to happen. John Mullihan back in second, Cody Nagels in third. Michael Triscaro will line up fourth. It's going to be John Ward rounding out your top 5. And there he is, Brock Westmoreland. Saw him at the back for most of this race. Waited out that wreck. Now he finds himself up inside the top 5. John Ward back in 6th now. Christopher McCall 7th. Danny Barnes 8th. Matt Lee in 9th. And Garrett Maines rounding out your top 10. But I got to think that time we may have taken a couple fast repairs, and maybe that changes the way these guys race a little bit here.
A couple, I think it's closer to 10 probably. There were several destroyed race cars. I can tell you, Cody Nagels, he definitely took one. He's on a clean car now running in position number 3. Jeff Merck had to take one. Matt Lee, Matthew Baker, Andrew Navarro all had to take them as well. So several of our front runners, now down to their last car. Does it change the way they race? I personally don't think so. We'll see. But myself, I'm not sure. These guys really only know one speed here at the front of the field.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And Aiden Kirk, he's going to find out the hard way real quick that if he wants to finish this thing off, he is going to have a handful. I'll tell you what, everybody thinks when you're at the front of these races, Dawson, it's just an easy, nice cruise. It's not. I think when I'm leading a line at Daytona or Talladega, that's actually when I hold the steering wheel the tightest.
Oh, it's the most stressful moment, 100%. And especially in these cars, knowing how sensitive they are to pushes, how sensitive they can be to the side draft. Yeah, it is 100% the most nerve-wracking point in the race is when you're leading one of the lines. You'd think it would be stress-free. Quite the opposite, the most stressful point on the racetrack.
And as we roll off of turn 4, getting ready to go back green, Michael Triscaro second on the outside. Gives me a chance to say, quick reminder, next place we're going to head here on Ghost Racing Network Thursday night for the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series. Every week it delivers, did not fail us last week. We saw Chris Parkman with one of the best underdog victories since we've been broadcasting PGR. And can't wait to see what we're going to get this week. All right, here we go. Pace car making the hard left turn. It's going to be Mullahan on the bottom. Aiden Kirk up top into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. It's going to be 27 laps to go at Daytona. Good jump for the inside, not so much for the outside. Aiden Kirk still not up to speed yet. Michael Triscaro wasn't able to get locked onto his bumper. And that outside line is going to fall a couple rows. This will set Cody Nagels up with a chance to make a pass down the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's actually going to give he and John Ward a chance to go to the outside. Let's see if they take advantage. They may get 3 cars clear here on the exit of turn number 2. They decide to keep it parked. Nagel stays still. That allows John Ward to go lead the middle. Oh, I don't know how that's going to pan out for the 6. I see what he's doing, but maybe not the best move. Top still not really coordinated. Now they start to surge into 3. Here comes John Ward. He's got Aiden Kirk with him, but they're really not going. Nagels may still get clear here off of 4. I don't know, not quite. Here comes John Ward.
Well, I think Nagels was hoping that outside line, even when Ward jumped out, wouldn't have the momentum to get side by side. Once they got into 3, he was hoping he'd surge back ahead, but as you noted, not going to work out, at least not right now, as he is going to stay trapped on the bottom. And now it's time to get in the rhythm of managing your temps unless you're John Ward and Aiden Kirk. Right now, you're trying to get that 92 clear to drop below. First time that we've seen Aiden up here pushing one of the leaders tonight, but he's doing a great job so far. And as they race down the Daytona Super Stretch, still nothing going yet for the outside further back. Long single file line, this time all guys that were in that last wreck. And so actually I think this is about the first time tonight where we're not 3 wide in the first 2 laps.
Yeah, obviously you can tell the intensity has changed for some of those guys at the far back end of the field. Just not really racing for as much right now. They're on their last car. They just want to save that. And for the guys up front, I mean, it's just an opportunity to go race double file for a little bit, not really have to worry about 3 wide and be calm for a little bit. And you're right, Aiden Kirk doing a fantastic job pushing the 92 of John Ward, but he's up against a pretty tough challenge on the bottom. Cody Nagels, again, one of the better pushers on the racetrack. So we'll see who gets the better of who here at the 47, doing a great job, hanging tough, 4th place right now.
And the best news for this outside line is that they don't have to worry about a 3rd lane, so they get the opportunity to duck out to the right side and cool the oil pressure just a little bit. That helps that outside roll just as we see here. Guess what? John Ward, he'll get clear. Aiden Kirk going to get a chance to cool off and poke his nose back out front. Michael Triscaro, Garrett Maines still staying committed with this outside, but still awaiting help as Dylan Jones, Mike Davenport still a couple rows back off of turn 4.
Yeah, the bottom's not pushing very hard, so we see John Mullahan jump out in front of the 47. So the 47, that cooling opportunity, short-lived up here at the front of the field. So Mullahan jumps up in front of him. Now he'll just go up and right back down in front of the 92 of John Ward. Now does allow Aiden Kirk to lead the middle, but the thing for that middle is that the bottom's not really pushing very hard. Besides John Ward here, they're really laying off of each other, so the top going to pretty much have free reign to roll to the front right here down the super stretch.
We don't have to push too hard just yet. We still got plenty of time. Quick note, looks like David Sheets currently being scored a lap down from whatever damage he's received. He is back here drafting with Tony Cox, and those two as they stand right now. In fact, you go up to Tony here. He's about 2.5 seconds behind Jeff Merckx, so they have lost touch with this lead draft. And then Andrew Navarro, Jared Mogard in the same position. Not sure if they had damage. Both of these guys have lost the draft as well. Looks like Zach Range is going to be included in that mix. So we have trimmed off a couple cars from this lead pack, and I think that's also kind of maybe what's calmed down all the surges of momentum from each lane. Hasn't been as much, but Garrett Maines is going to split Michael Triscaro. I think he caught Michael sleeping a little bit right there. Anytime you make a move to the middle, not expecting that as a driver, and Triscaro saying, what the heck, man? That's the 2nd time here tonight. I think Triscaro's going to remember that one later if Garrett needs help.
Yeah, you probably write that one down if you're Michael Triscaro. 2nd time tonight that Garrett Maines has made not a questionable 3-wide move, but one that perhaps you could have waited for a little bit better opportunity. That one pays off a lot better, obviously. He goes right through the middle and ends up behind John Mullahan. But regardless, I mean, you're not making friends with the 34 tonight, certainly if you're Garrett Maines, but in the end, he's in a better spot. So He goes 3 wide, gets the back of Mullahan. Now, Mullahan surges to the lead in 1. He's side by side with John Ward.
I was going to say, if you're Garrett Maines, you probably don't really need too many friends with as much talent as you've got out here tonight. But you see he's pushing on John Mullahan, who's had a phenomenal night up to this point. John Mullahan has been in the top 5, I think, every time we've called him out. And he's kind of been on the opposite spectrum of what the rest of McCall Motorsports strategy has been here tonight. We've seen Ken and a couple of the other guys, Chris, maybe hanging back a little bit more than what we're used to seeing. And it's worked out okay for a couple of them. You see Chris still up here battling inside the top 10, 4th on the inside. And then, of course, John Mullahan now leading as he'll drop down to the inside. But we talked about watch Mark Vondell. He's down near the transfer bubble outside looking in. Needs some good runs here in the final stretch of the season. And right now, just outside the top 10, but already up 7 from where he started. He's on the inside of Aiden Kirk.
Yeah, he is, and he's starting to make some hay in behind the 0-3. His teammate Kenny McCullough Jr., and they're starting to come forward a little bit. We've seen them right at the back. Now they've decided, all right, it's getting closer to that point where we have to go to the front, and they are really starting to make it work now. The 0-3 just popped into my camera angle for the first time tonight, and as he makes his way forward, you can tell the urgency starting to go back up. The pushing is going to get harder. The moves are going to get bigger. And speaking of, I thought Mike Davenport was actually going to take a look out there 3 wide with Cole Fitzpatrick. Thinks better of it. Pit stops all of a sudden with 21 to go.
And per the usual, they catch me off guard here as we'll see if everybody can get in clean. So far, so good. As I believe, yep, everybody gets in without issue. Mark Vondell a little bit slow, but I think he was okay. And so I guess whatever we continue to think the fuel is, it must not be for these guys to have had to pit. And if it's 20 laps to go, Dawson, I'm thinking maybe they were able to make about 20 laps on fuel. So again, we'll get this sorted out for future weeks. Nonetheless, right now, the big story is that these green flag stops are going to separate the field. And as it does so, everybody that came in looks like they're going to get out clean for now. Question is, Garrett Maines leading Dylan Jones and John Ward. Will he bring it down to the pits this time?
I'll tell you what, I think they will. And I'll tell you, I don't think it's that they can only go 20 laps. I think it's just that maybe, you're pitting early. Maybe guys are just splitting the stage in half. I know we see that a lot on other tracks. The Super Speedways, John Ward is going to go around. He's going to be in the grass. How did he keep that car straight?
I don't know, but if I'm Dylan Jones and Garrett Maines and I looked in my mirror right there, I am not feeling too comfortable. Oh, some more contact between the 92 and the 3, Cole Fitzpatrick. But I think everybody's okay. Ward does overshoot his box. Man, a bad stop going worse here for John Ward. We'll see if he's still able to sneak out with the rest of these guys. I think he's going to be okay. And now the question is going to be, how does everybody blend back out? Keep it on the pit lane cam. We'll go all the way back here to these guys that have already pit. And watch for the big run here. John Mullahan working his way through the tri-oval now, trying to catch the leaders. And you'll see them. They're currently working their way through turns 1 and 2 on the apron. And if you look at the track map, there you see, looks like Garrett Maines, the man that leads them all out of the pits, just now off of 2. And there's Mullahan with a huge run. He's going to go right by Danny Barnes, Cole Fitzpatrick. Next up is going to be John Ward and Dylan Jones. There you see Mike Davenport as well, Michael Triscaro, and now a couple of your leaders, Brock Westmoreland and others. So I think this is going to keep a pretty big pack close together.
It is a good stop by both groups. Them pitting that close together is going to pretty much guarantee they're all going to be right together here for this last run of the finish. And with them pitting 1 lap apart, yep, Garrett Maines, Jared Mogard. Mogard did an excellent job right there with the 1. He kept him going fast enough that they can blend with this lead group right here. Man, what an excellent job by those two. They're going to be right in the mix here with 18 laps to go. Great execution to keep up with this second group.
And Mogard may not have teammates, but it's smart. Oh, Cody out of line. He's going to get up in the wall. Him and Zach Range make contact. Cody's going to straighten it out as Navarro's going to duck down to the apron. He'll reblend. Everybody trying to hold it together as it is chaos. Everybody dicing through all the traffic. Zach Range is going to get some more damage with what he already had. I think Cody's okay here. And man, oh man, that was a close moment going through 1 and 2. Navarro and Range had been staying out, just maybe hoping for a caution. But now this is going to cost them even more time than what they started with. But getting back to what I was talking about with Jared Mogard real quick, may not have team, but if you make smart moves like that, in this case helping Garrett Maines stay up front, he's not going to forget that. At the end of this race, if the 00's out in front and the 1 has to choose somebody to go with, that might be the man he picks.
Oh, yeah, it's better to make friends on the racetrack than to make enemies. I mean, obviously, that's what Jared Bogart did right there. Kept himself and Garrett Maines in this race late in the going. That's about perfect execution coming off pit road. They got hooked together as soon as they could, right off pit road, and were able to stay almost in front of that second group. Not quite. All of a sudden, the party is picked up at the front. Jason Maines, Matthew Baker, 3 wide here in turn number 3. They got a massive run. They may go to the lead off turn number 4.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do this for 16 more laps, Dawson. This is getting wild. But, I mean, you got to give credit right here to Jason Maines. We saw the struggles that he has had to go through here in the first half of this second stage after blowing a motor and making contact with the inside wall right at the end of stage number 1. But now he finds himself out in front, almost gets into the door of his teammate Garrett right there in the middle. Christopher McCall, big run for him on the bottom with his teammate John Mullahan. He'll now jump up to the middle. So all of a sudden, McCall Motorsports, who earlier we felt like was maybe sitting a little bit towards the back, now sits 1, 2, 3, 1 in the middle, 2 on the bottom. Jason Maines and Matthew Baker still working up top, 3 wide into turn 3.
Well, you knew Kenny McCullough wasn't going to stay at the back for very long. That's not in his nature, and he has picked a perfect time to come forward. Now pushes his teammate, the 2, John Mullahan, out in front of the field. They've got Chris leading the middle. Man, what a great opportunity here for McCullough Motorsports. They played their cards perfectly here late in the going, and now all of a sudden find themselves in prime position to be up front, be in the contention for the win. They have a lot still to figure out and a lot of laps to go, but for now, great spot here for McCullough Motorsports. 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack now in 2.
You see Ken McCall Jr. up 19th from where he started. Looks like he's in a Supra here tonight. Didn't take Ken as a Toyota guy, but we'll see if he can get himself in victory lane with the 03 machine here tonight. Christopher McCall is going to jump down. That'll now put McCall Motorsports 1, 2, 3 on the bottom line. And while they may relinquish control, that's going to give Garrett Maines a chance to cool down. Chris down on the bottom. Watch for the 94 to jump back up top as he sees that run coming. Nothing going yet. Now he's going to have to hold it down as Matt Lee will push Garrett Maines back out in front. And as we come to 14 laps to go, everybody back down to 2x2 for now.
Well, that's one where if you're Chris McCullough, yeah, you probably want to go back up there, but probably just stay on the bottom for 2 reasons. Number one, the middle line had such a surge on you there on the bottom that if you go back up, now he picks a good time to do it. If he had done it before, he either gets run over by the 1 because they're going too fast, or probably worst case scenario for the 94, they split him. They go out to the outside wall. They don't even give him the time of day. They go right around him. Now he's able to jump up in front, go back in front of Garrett, now back in front of Mullahan. So probably a smart decision right there by the 94. Really played his cards well.
David Sheets trying to find a spot in line, currently still being scored a lap down. I think it's going to stay the same after this. Logan York up in the mix as well. Now we're going to see Garrett Maines get split 3 wide. Here comes NBG on the top. Matt Lee, Matthew Baker, and Jeff Merck looking for the lead, but it's going to be Jason Maines who jumps back down to the middle. And guess what? Michael Triscaro, he had a chance to go down there with Jason Maines, be that third car in the middle, but he jumped up, and I'll tell you what, Dawson, I think that was a little bit of earlier him saying, let's see, who can I help, Garrett or Matt Lee? I think I'll take Matt Lee.
Oh, you knew the 34 was probably going to remember it. He does right there, decides to help the top. Now the problem is for that top line, the 03 Kenny McCullough has jumped out of line. Now the top lane is fading in a hurry. They're going backwards. How far back will they go here? Dylan Jones tries to block the 5 from getting back down. That was almost disaster in the middle of the pack. Somehow they keep it going as Kenny McCullough now for the first time tonight leads the race back down in front of the 94. 12 laps to go, and NBG, they just have to settle the ride in line. Try that move again a little bit later on.
Did you notice right there what Baker and Dylan kind of did? It almost looked like a little bit of a situation of bully ball in the sense of both guys kind of pushing on each other a little bit until one of them said, okay, I'll give you a little room. The other one says, okay, I'll give you a little room. And eventually they sorted out to get back down 2 by 2. But that's what you got to do. In this case, I think Dylan was trying to jump up so that NBG couldn't get that top lane locked up with 3 cars. And it looked like it was going to work, but Baker said not so fast, and slowly but surely was able to push that 11 right back down to the bottom. Meanwhile, up front, you got the 2 McCalls, Christopher and Ken leading on the bottom, and the 2 Maines, Jason and Garrett up top. A little side-by-side action right here between 2 of the biggest teams in money racing. And as we come to 11 laps to go, you can just sense it coming, Dawson. At what time is that third lane really going to get rolling for the final time tonight?
It's not going to be long, and I'll tell you why. Yes, you have the 3 McCullough cars there on the bottom. Yes, you have the 2 Maines cars in the middle. But if you're the Maines cars, I don't think you want to look in the rearview mirror right now, because what that top line fading allowed to happen is that Cody Nagels has gotten back to his teammates. They are 4 deep in the middle now. NBG is 1, 2, 3, 4 behind these front 3 cars. And now all of a sudden, if you're looking in the mirror, you're going to hope the 0-3 of Kenny McCullough stays up for a while, because those 4 cars, you know, they're not going to stay content. And note, last time they took Michael Triscaro with them, will they do so again when they go? That would put 5 cars against the outside wall.
And we still have a lot of independent variables is what I'm going to call them here tonight. Guys that don't have teams that are in the mix. You look back, I mean, Dylan Jones, don't presume he's got a team. Might be working with the Mains boys, but we know for sure Logan York all by himself. Brock Westmoreland as well. What can he do? John Ward, I believe, the only guy repping for Hyper Motorsports here tonight. Jared Mogard. They may all be towards the back. Ooh, little trouble up front here. Chris out of line. Everybody's out of whack. What in the world happened here off of turn 2?
Oh, a close call. The 94 and the 72 of Tony Cox. Holy cow. They were about a foot apart there on the backstretch as Chris tried to bully his way back onto the racetrack. I have no clue what happened right there. What a weird moment that happened there on the back straightaways.
Lee turned into the outside wall. The 92 goes for a slide. Brock Westmoreland down into the inside wall. Lee's going to make more contact. Jason Maines is in it. Michael Triscaro's involved. 4th caution of the night, and man, Mark Vondell looks like he's going to get some damage in this as 2. Comes with 9 laps to go, and tell you what, you knew it was coming sooner or later, and finally happens. Here we go. Let's take a look. This is coming off of turn 4. You see Lee in the middle, and as Baker jumps to the bottom, is Lee going to try to jump to the top? Looks like, ooh, actually, that's looking like some netcode from this view. Let's go take a look from the chopper view. Didn't look like they were that close to each other when Lee got turned, but this will be the angle we need to see. And yeah, there you go. I mean, we did see Lee jump up just a little bit, but I think that was just kind of a little bit of an arc that he had coming off of the turn. I think he was starting to go back down. And they may have made some contact without the netcode, but the netcode was what initially sparks it. And that turns Lee off the front nose of Jason into the outside wall. Cody with nowhere to go. He's going to get into Dylan Jones. And then all the guys trying to miss it now that are just going to slide in. Michael Triscaro. Mark Vondell with nowhere to go. Lee's going to slide a little bit further as it looks like Jared Mogard was able to miss it. As we go take a couple more angles. Just hard racing, Dawson. And I mean, again, second wreck that I've seen tonight that I would honestly have to put the blame on netcode for.
Yeah, these cars bounce around, they slide around. It's a lot harder to keep them pinned, especially when you're in the middle. You're bouncing between the 2 lines. And right there, Matt Lee, I think just it gets a little bit out from under him maybe. He starts to slide up further than he anticipated. And before he knows that he's making contact, well, contact in quotes, if you will, with the one of Jason Maines. And by that time, it's just nothing you can do. I mean, you've already been drawn into the left front of that car to your outside. And by then, it's all too late and you're going for a spin.
You saw Mark Vondell slide into Michael Triscaro, a little bit of a secondary incident as Lee slides down. Boy, Jared Mogard, close call, but the 00 does a nice job of missing it. This is going to collect a couple more fast pairs and potentially retire some cars for the night. This will also give one of the guys who we saw go a lap down a chance to get the free pass, get back on the lead lap. We'll see if it's Tony Cox or David Sheets. It might have been David Sheets. We'll find out here in just a minute, but looks like it is Matthew Baker being scored out front. Garrett Maines in second. Ken McCall Jr. in third. John Mullihan in fourth. Jeff Merck fifth. Dylan Jones sixth. John Ward in seventh. Christopher McCall eighth. Logan York in ninth. And Mike Davenport rounding out your top 10 with 8 laps to go.
And it's going to reset the field again, notably. I mean, you got a bunch of guys now that are in different spots. That was some more of the front runners that got caught up in that one. It's a mulligan for some of the guys potentially further back. I'm looking at guys like Chris McCullough, who got shuffled out there on the backstretch. Logan York as well was involved in that stack up. Danny Barnes is in a pretty good spot here for the first time tonight. He's up almost inside the top 10. So we got some guys now that are going to have an opportunity here on a late restart to go make something happen, go get themselves in a good spot, and we'll have to see how this pans out. Obviously, for Matthew Baker, I mean, he now loses 2 of his teammates that were at the front with him. Now it's just he and Jeff Merck, and they're not going to be connected here on the restart. So all of a sudden, strategies getting upset here with 8 laps to go.
All right, well, as we get ready for potentially the final restart of the race, we're going to go get geared up for the chaos that we're getting ready to see. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Matthew Baker leading at Daytona. Back live at Daytona International Speedway, getting ready for what's going to be the final regular, I guess I should say, regular portion of the race restart. I think we'll get another one after this. It would put us into overtime. It's going to be 6 laps to go when we take the green. Garrett Maines out in front. Matthew Baker on the outside. John Mullihan second. Ken McCall Jr. third. And actually, I meant to say, I believe Matthew Baker is actually leading here, but chose the outside. That'll give him a push from John Mullihan. I like this call. Oh, man, this is going to be a crazy restart. Here we go. Pace car off to the pits. Mullihan getting ready to line up the back bumper of Matthew Baker. Green flag back in the air. Through the gears we go. Ooh, Garrett gets a little out of shape. Ken McCall Jr. did not get the restart he wanted. John Mullihan with a big push to the back bumper of Matthew Baker. They stay side by side for now. A lot of disorganization in the third and fourth rows of both lanes, but it's Baker who's got a car length out in front.
For now, the bottom, as always, will surge on the bottom here as Kenny McCullough has caught the one. Now he pushes Garrett out in front. I would not be surprised to see Garrett jump right up to the middle. No, stays home, stays parked on the bottom line, the shorter way around this 2.5-mile speedway. Top line already rolling. Mogard, Triscaro, Navarro, now they bail as soon as they got up there. And Triscaro now left all alone. Zach Range shoots through a gap further back. All of a sudden, he's shot out of a cannon here on this restart. He is flying forward in the outside line, taking up that non-used real estate, all happening behind Maines and Baker. Who gets the better push? 5 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, Mogard, you can tell he's antsy to get up there, but he's being really careful about who he chooses to go with. Now he's going to pick a partner in Zach Range. They'll try to make a jump to the outside. Looks like Aiden Kirk's going to follow. Almost some contact right there between the 0-2 of Logan York and Jared Mogard. Logan sticking to the bottom. Chris McCall in the middle. Dylan Jones just in front of him, but no real change up front. Now we're going to see Garrett Maines jump up to the middle. Ken McCall Jr. will try to poke a nose to the inside of the one as they jump down into turn 3, but Matthew Baker hanging strong. Garrett Maines goes right back down to the bottom into turn 3.
Side drafting becoming more and more just tight quarters here in 3 and 4. The side drafting is going to get more intense. The race continues to wind down. Matthew Baker, one of the more intense side drafters here in this series. He is right down. I mean, he was almost touching the door of Garrett Maines. That was kind of insane to watch there in turns 3 and 4. Just how close he got. You put a sheet of paper between those cars, and that's about it. And that's going to allow that top lane to roll here. Mogard hung Range out to dry. He's now 4th in the middle. As Baker, he'll get a surge here off 2. He may go to the lead by the time we get to 3. Here comes McCullough to the back bumper of the 1 down the backstretch.
I'm still so impressed with the job Jared Mogard's doing right now. Here we go. He's going to make another surge to the outside, but he is playing it so smart right now. You talked about he split Zach Range, who he initially pushed. That put him out in front, so now he's leading the third lane all the way up to row number 2. John Mullihan doesn't look like he's going to jump out of line, at least not yet. He'll continue to push Baker. Those two have been working pretty good here late in the going. Garrett Maines still on the bottom with Ken McCall Jr. They will now take 3 laps to go, but I'm telling you, the middle of this pack is what looks to be the most disorganized. I think if they're going to wreck, that's where it comes from. And meanwhile, up front, 2x2 in row 1, 3x3 for rows 2 through 3. But it is still Matthew Baker, Garrett Maines who continue to drag race around this track.
They need a third car on the outside. They've got the cavalry coming towards them here. Cole Fitzpatrick's made his way up to the third line. Logan York may peek his nose up there as well. He's thinking about it. Nope, going to stay parked. They need one more car, and Range says, I can't hold up here any longer. Now he takes Mogard's spot once again. So they flip-flop. They hang each other out here with 3 laps to go, and it doesn't help really either of them. As they come off turn number 4, it's going to be 2 laps to go. Only one more lap till this race is official, but man, these guys are fishtailing like crazy up front. I don't know if we make it.
Yeah, I certainly can't tell yet either. What I can tell you is John Mullihan and Ken McCall Jr. have both got to be boiling under the hood of those 2 cars right now, trying everything to keep their guy out in front. And if Maines can pull ahead of Baker, I think we'll see him jump up one more time here, let Ken cool one final time, and then he'll stick with him the rest of the way. Baker, if he's got a chance to split, he's got to take it now, but he doesn't. He'll stay behind the one of Garrett Maines. I think he knows that Garrett's going to jump back down as they enter turn 3. Ken McCall Jr. trying everything to get to the inside of Garrett. No help, though. He's not going to be able to do it. And Garrett Maines still staying up top. Ooh, almost some contact. Ken gets on the apron, tries to save it. Now he's going to wash up. Jeff Merck has to check up as well. Chaos off of turn 4 down the short chute. They are going to make it. The white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Daytona.
Wild card here is Zach Range. He's made it to row 2. He needs some help to go with him. Now Logan York thought about it, jumps back in line. Trouble back further around Cody Nagels, and I think they kept it straight. Now Range has some help. Mogard comes to him. Can they surge at all? Baker, with the help of Maines, he will get clear, but Garrett Maines may also get clear. Baker's got to be ready to throw a block here. He does, halfway on the back. Throws another one. How about a third block by the 5? All over the place. Here comes Dylan Jones up top.
Matthew Baker doing everything in his power to hold off the one. Couldn't do it anymore. This is going to come down to a drag race. If they can all keep it clean, which lane can push the hardest? Bottom's been rolling the best all night, but here comes Dylan Jones and Garrett Maines. Final time to short two. Baker gets turned. Around goes Matthew Baker into the travel. Ken McCall Jr. wins it from McCall Motorsports. First time in Tuesday Night Thunder. And man, oh man, it looked like Baker was lined up and got turned down the straightaway. We'll have to go back and take a look. A lot of hard pushing, but I can tell you the driver of the 5 is probably not too happy right now. Let's back this up and take another look. These guys all did a phenomenal job keeping it clean. And off turn 4, this is where things are going to get a little bit out of shape. And if we go to the chopper view as they get off of 4 onto the straight. Ooh, that's what it's going to be right here. You see Ken trying to give a bump right here. Actually, let's change this view again. Back it up. So you see Ken's going to give a bump to Baker. Actually, what happens there is it looks like there's, I'm not sure if it's a little bit of netcode or a little bit of a bobble between Ken and Garrett. Watch the 03. Watch how the car at the front end just goes a little bit to the right and then gets shot right back to left. Boom, right there. And that sends Ken down. He's full throttle, so he's going to bump Baker a little bit offset. And then it just kind of like turns him around. I was trying to figure out, does he actually make contact again? It was a really odd look. I'll tell you what, Dawson, I don't know if you're back looking at it. It was really odd how quickly it turned Matthew Baker around. Are you seeing anything from this?
Trying to find an angle that tells me what it is.
It almost looks like I can't tell.
Okay, so from my view anyway, and this is based off one replay, so maybe don't take this as gospel. It looks to me like Maines and McCullough hit on the exit of turn number 4. They definitely make some contact, and it shoots Kenny off to the left. And as he goes to push Baker, he is offset. And so as he pushes him, it's obviously going to turn the 5 to the left. Now, it does turn him a lot more than I expected. I just figured he'd bobble maybe, but instead it turns Baker all the way left. And what a weird look, but looks to me contact between McCullough and Maines. McCullough gets off center, and we've seen that all too many times.
I think you broke that down just about perfectly. I mean, when I just went back and looked from the screenshot view, that's certainly what it looks like from everything that I can see as well. Take another look at it, and right there. Yeah, I think you might be right. Some contact on the front of the 03. And then at the line, they wreck out back, but it's all Ken McCall Jr. able to bring it home after that. So, man, after dominant night from Baker, unfortunately things come up just a little bit short. Not the way he wanted it to go. The way things end nonetheless. Go back and take one more view of this finish in general here on the spotter stand. Actually, I take that back. We'll go to TV1 for it. And Baker gets turned. I think I'm not sure if, I'm assuming he probably hit the wall, wasn't able to stay. Oh my goodness, he did too. Look at the 5 machine get up in the air in the background. Was probably hoping he could miss the inside wall here and keep it going. You see him get turned, staying in the gas, trying, but just doesn't work out, and he gets upside down. This thing flips wildly. He flips into the grandstand, so it doesn't even let him actually finish the race. Oh my goodness. So a wild ride to end Matthew Baker's day. Ken McCall Jr., Garrett Maines bring home 1-2. And we'll take a look at the rest of your finishing order right here. And so with Ken and Garrett bringing home 1-2, Jeff Merck, the last man on the podium. A good turnaround for Jeff here tonight. Maybe the luck's finally starting to change for the driver of the 60. John Mullihan bringing home a 4th place finish. David Sheets in 5th. Dylan Jones 6th. Zach Range in 7th. Jared Mogard back in 8th. Cole Fitzpatrick 9th. And John Ward rounding out your top 10.
Aiden Kirk finishes in 11th, Andrew Navarro 12th, Mark Von Dell 13th, Michael Triscaro 14th, Cody Nagels in the 15th position, Danny Barnes finishes 16th, Chris McCullough in 17th, Logan York 18th, Brock Westmoreland 19th, and Mike Davenport rounds out the top 20.
Tony Cox finishes 21st. Matthew Baker 22nd after that last lap incident. Matt Lee 23rd. Jason Maines 24th. And Ron Morris Jr., of course, race control tonight, not actually in the race. So as we round out your finishing results here tonight, we're going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Back live at Daytona International Speedway, standing by with your third-place finisher here tonight, Dawson Wise with Jeff Merck.
Yeah, hey, Jeff, it's the boys up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, Dawson? What's up?
Man, good to finally talk to you. I'll tell you what, it's great to have a chance to get you up here. I mean, our first question is going to be pretty obvious. Is this a change in the luck? I know we've seen some bad luck for you the last several weeks. Tonight, you finally get it turned around. You get to finish one of these, and you come home third. So is this finally the turnaround you've been waiting for?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't think my luck could have gotten much worse there. I think Baker got the bad end of that one. I think I pushed Kenny, and he pushes Baker, and I think Baker gets the win on that one. If it doesn't, they're saying net code and blah. I don't know. It's just a matter of opinions. I think Baker got the bad end of that one.
Well, absolutely. And take us through your race. You come home third. It was a roller coaster night for you where we at one point saw you almost upside down on the backstretch. You end up third out of all that. Take us through your night, how you wound up here on the podium.
A lot of luck, really. Yeah, like you said, it's just my luck has been horrendous. I thought, okay, use fast repair early. It's a lot of, I don't know. I don't know if it's this car. I don't know if it's this track. They've done some stuff to the setup, and you're constantly trying to poke the nose out the right side to keep it cool, keep the water cool. Oil, I don't think the oil flashed one time tonight. They just try to keep the water out the right side and push, and communicate with teammates, and then pitting and fuel, and it's just. I don't know how these guys do it in real life if it's like this, because stuff is coming at you, information going one way, cars going one way, you're in the middle, getting banged around, pushed around, sideways, save it, then try to get blind back up to the car in front of you. It's a damn mess. That's all I know.
Well, it certainly pans out for you here tonight as you come home third. So while we got you up here for a second, anybody want to thank or shout out?
My loving wife, she just sent me a top 3 with a heart. Babe, I love you. I know you're sitting over there babysitting the mom and dad's puppies, but I love you. Thanks for all the love and support you give me. Teammates, Baker, Matt Lee, Cody Neagles, me, MBG Motorsports, Ghost Racing Network, Ron Marsh for putting this on, and I think that's everybody.
All right, well, congrats on that third place effort. Go enjoy it with your teammates, and we will see you next week.
All right, thanks, bud.
And now that'll draw in your second place finisher here tonight. As Dawson Wise is also standing by with Garrett Maines.
Yeah, I'm standing by here with Garrett Maines. Garrett, it's the boys up in the booth. You got a copy?
What's going on?
Well, not too much. A chaotic race, a chaotic finish. A lot happened there about the last lap. Anything you could have done differently there? We saw you come about an inch short of winning tonight's race. Anything you could have done differently, or is that just kind of how it played out for you?
Well, I was about a corner short last week, and I think I was about a lap short this week. Unfortunately, I think when I went up to cool on Baker, because I needed, Kenny to have the temps there to push me at the end, I think Baker just kind of followed me back down the track when I went to, get back in front of Kenny, and the contact between the two of them forced Kenny to the apron, and I didn't exactly have any help after that, so that allowed Baker to get down in front of me, which, I was going to be content with a top 3 finish and some good points, but I was able to get back up and try to race for the win. Just I know Baker had some really bad luck there, and that sucks. And then I was still so close, but unfortunately a few thousandths short. We'll get a win here eventually, but I'll take it. Like, as much that went on tonight that I was around to be in the running there at the end and actually be able to come away with a good finish, like I will take it. I didn't make it that far last week, so I was in position to win the stage and in position to win the race last week, and got turned coming out of 4 by the same guy both times. So happily finishing this week.
Absolutely happily finishing. It's another good points night for you. You said you get that win eventually. Is that something you're worried about? Is that something you're focused on? You're in a great spot in points as we get closer to the playoffs. So, is that something that you're putting a priority on, or are you just really just trying to rack up as many points as possible?
A little bit, yeah. But at the same time, I feel like I can make it now with the consistent finishes. I think I can comfortably make it in on points. It's one of those things, you really want to get those wins to, nail it down. But I mean, looking at the running tonight, Andrew didn't have a great night. Baker didn't have a great night. Everhart wasn't here. So like, those are the 3 people ahead of me in points. I think I just closed up the gap to the lead. So I think we're in good shape regardless of how this goes. If we just stay consistent, get a few more, top 5s and top 10s. I think the win will come as long as, the cards are it's in the cards for us. But, I feel like we're in the mix every week, and as long as that's how it stays, then we'll be fine.
Absolutely. And another great step in the right direction for you tonight. Another second place finish, another really strong, dominant run for you here tonight. So while we've got you here for a second, anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout out to MCU Body, Linux, Cover Seal, Bucked Up, the guys at Ryko Performance for all their help in the NIS series and A Open. I actually think they're doing Winter Series now, so I'll be running that on Wednesday nights. I know they got good cars for that, so hopefully I'll see some of y'all there.
All right, well, congrats on the second place finish. Go enjoy it. Go celebrate. We will see you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, now that is going to bring us to your winner here tonight. McCall Motorsports, Ken McCall Jr. gets his first one in Tuesday Night Thunder. Ken, you got a copy?
Yeah, sir, I got you.
Well, it's been a long time coming. You talk about you don't have luck over here in Ron's series, but you finally get a win in it.
Yeah, I might have to change to a Toyota. I accidentally clicked on the wrong car, and this is the first one I've won over here. Hell yeah, McCullough Motorsports, let's go.
I'll tell you what, we saw coming out of 4. Still trying to kind of figure out what exactly happened there between you, Garrett, and Baker that ultimately sent the 5 around. Can you kind of break that down for us?
It looks like a bunch of netcode to me. I've looked at it several times. Looked like Garrett netcoded down into me one time and then netcoded again, and it almost looked like he maybe netcoded Baker's bumper a little bit too. I don't know what I could have done different there. I was trying to get Baker to the win.
Well, nonetheless, before we let you head out tonight, actually, I got one more question for you. Now that, of course, you do capture that first win, you're looking good in terms of points after that win. How does this help you carry momentum forward for the rest of the season and then ultimately into that championship race?
Man, this race here is just like PGR. I have no luck in them, and just pulling off a win is huge for me over here. Maybe I can carry some momentum and go into the next one and at least get a top 5.
All right. Thanks for talking to us here tonight. Before we let you head out, is anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank my team. They awesome. Got to thank y'all for doing the broadcast. You and Dawson, y'all do a hell of a job. Thank everybody for tuning in and watching.
All right. Well, again, congrats on your first win in Tuesday Night Thunder. Thank you again for talking to us, and hopefully we'll see you out here next week.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right, and that is just about going to wrap up our coverage. We saw a lot of hard racing, but I actually thought the racing overall was pretty good tonight. Dawson, a couple netcode incidents, but we see Ken McCall Jr. and Garrett Main's drag race to the line. Ken gets the job done. Hopefully we can see more of the same next week.
Yeah, the netcode's to be expected in these cars. We saw it a couple of times last week as well. Just kind of a product of this racing the way it is now. And regardless, a good race, a good finish. The luck turns around for Jeff Merck. It's about time for the 60. Another great run for Garrett Maines. And obviously, huge congrats to Kenny McCullough getting the job done on Tuesday night for the first time. That's a huge win for he and his team.
All right. Well, we want to thank you all for coming out. And I did not spell thanks right in the chat right there, so ignore that. But thank you, Baker's mom, for the good broadcasting, guys. She says... And it looks like, everybody's happy about Merck's good finish. But nonetheless, we're going to head out. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Hope you all did enjoy. And until next time, have a good night.